Coach Damon Floyd. Coach, how are we doing tonight? Thanks for coming over and talking to us.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate you guys being here. Got a lot of youth out here trying to learn some football and have a little fun, so it's a great environment to do a radio show, so I appreciate you guys coming.
Okay, first question. Which group is easier to coach, these young men or the guys you coach that coming up on Friday nights?
They're very similar.
Of course.
Neither listen, immature, want to play, goofing off. So I don't know. I don't know which one's easier yet.
Well, definitely. Like you said, I think Brett was telling me it's kind of a toss-up at times, depending on the mood and the day, and I guess the weather too, for sure.
I'll say this: the younger kids, they come with energy every day. Sometimes your high schoolers, they're a little bit lazy at 8 in the morning. So these young kids, you can't make them tired. They love to run. You can't punish them by running them, because if you say, hey, if you do this, you're going to run. Well, they enjoy running.
Right.
So high schoolers don't enjoy that.
I'm telling you what, and I think you guys were in the arena last night, right? Because of the rain.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that was helped to burn some of this energy off on the turf here today.
Yeah, right. I mean, I looked at the weather all day yesterday and thought, well, we got a chance to be outside for camp, and then at 6 o'clock, it's a downpour. So fortunately, we were able to go inside and get a little work done. Hopefully, I had a little fun.
Well, it's definitely looking that way for sure. So, I guess we were at Ray County a couple weeks ago. You guys and the Golden Eagles were planning on having a full-scale scrimmage a few weeks ago. Both teams, I think, traded touchdowns on like the first 4 or 5 possessions combined. So, were you able to find anything? I mean, obviously, there's not a whole lot going on. Not going to show a ton, I would imagine. But anything you guys learned that you can bring into the start of the summer workout period? Yeah,
I mean, we saw some things from some guys and that's what we use spring for. So we actually had a couple guys out that we know what they can do. Some guys that have played a lot of football for us here, and we were trying to find some other guys that can help us on Friday nights, because that's what we use spring for, is try to start installing our run game from an offensive standpoint, and then defensively we're trying to stop the run, but most importantly find guys that can help us and find some depth. So I think we saw some things, and then there's a couple of guys, just to be quite honest, in the spring game, they've got some work to do to have a chance to play on Friday nights. But anytime you go against the Ray County, and I got a lot of respect for Taylor Harvey and what he does and how he runs his program, but Ray County, you're going to face a hard-nosed, physical football team, and that's kind of what we wanted. We want to go over there and kind of get punched in the mouth, see if we'd punch back. And so I thought the limited amount of reps we got were quality reps. Wish we could have lasted longer, but, the weather got us.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So, and like you said, I mean, it's good to see you're willing to go up against teams like that, because you guys preach that bus face mantra over there. Kind of talk about that, because I don't think a lot of people realize or know the background about that. Every time we're here, we see the team coming down the steps. They're slapping that sign, ready to hit the field. Kind of talk about the background of that for people that don't know.
It was from a guy that was with me when I very first got the head coaching job, Scott Ford. He played linebacker here, played linebacker at Tennessee Tech, and he came up with that slogan, I guess, and it kind of just took off. We had obviously we got the sign that the kids love to hit, and then he would have a bat every week that, we gave a Bus Face Award every week. So it was a defensive award that for the guy that previous Friday night that really went out and, it is what it is. Like he was hitting somebody, and we wanted to be a physical player that got a reward for that. Sometimes defense, you don't get a whole lot of credit. For you can make tackles, but it was more for like who's the most physical player on the team for that Friday night. So Scott Ford came up with that, and it kind of just took off and created a buzz. And really our kids still. Scott Ford's not with us now. Last 2 years ago he retired from coaching, but our kids still. To this day, they'll break it down on bus face and that kind of thing. So it's just a little extra pride, when you're walking in the stadium, what it kind of stands for us. And we always want to try to be the most physical team, and that's kind of what it means for us.
Yeah, you definitely need that for sure in the region you guys are playing in. So I guess let's just go and talk a little bit about the upcoming season now. Obviously, like a little bit of a rebuilding for you guys last year. Lost a lot of talent from the 2023 team. Everybody knows the story about those guys and what they're doing at the next level right now. So what do you guys have to do to kind of get back to that standard and make deep playoff runs? Because it could definitely be done here for sure.
Well, the first thing is we got to stay healthy, and that's not just us. That's anyone. If anybody kept up with us at all last year, and a lot of people are going to say, well, that's an excuse, but it is, and it's reality. We went through 5 quarterbacks last year because of injuries. So by the end of the year, we were in the wing tee, which, I guess Bill Price did when he was here, but it's not really been done in the last 20 years because we kind of like to spread it out and throw it around. But due to injuries, we had to kind of change what we did. But I will say this: after we went through some of those injuries, it kind of brought me back to going, you got to run the football. And to be quite honest with you, the teams we were playing, we play in a very tough region. A lot of guys are going to play, major college football, and kind of went back to the basics, and it kind of gave us a chance. I think the last 5 games of the year, we were 1 score away from winning those games, and unfortunately we didn't. We had a bad record, and my job as the coach is to get us over that hump, and I didn't do that. So I guess long story short, what I'm trying to say is we went back to the fundamentals of football this year of running the football first and stopping the run on defense. We've got a lot of kids back with some experience that got to play on Friday nights, so hopefully that is an advantage for us this year. And we're excited about the year, but like I said, if we don't stay healthy, and this is anybody, and really I was about to say high school sports, but really at any level, you got to stay healthy. And if we stay healthy, then we feel like we can be competitive in all the games on our schedule.
I mean, out of the gate strong. You got McMinn County and Walker Valley, non-region, kind of setting you guys up for that region slate. I think Red Bank's in that mix as well. Yep. So you got 3 quality football programs, and you're going to have some tests early, but I think that's what you want as a coach, I'd imagine.
Yeah, we've never shied away from scheduling tough teams around here. I think it prepares you for what your ultimate goal is, and everybody wants to make a run in the playoffs. Now, I will say this, with the schedule we have in the region, we just added Oak Ridge and didn't lose anyone. So Oak Ridge is now in our region. To make the playoffs is going to be – it's always been tough, but it got a lot tougher. But, yeah, our non-region schedule is really good with some local teams that have, us and McMinn, I think it's the second longest rivalry in the state of Tennessee. So to open the season with them, our guys should be motivated. I know they'll be motivated, but it's a great way to start the season. It's a fun way. But we have some talented physical football teams on our schedule.
Yeah, for sure. So I think you're going into, year number 20 as the head coach at your alma mater?
Yeah, year 20. It doesn't seem like it. It goes by fast.
What's the biggest change you think you've seen in the last 20 years?
Oh, social media. I've been asked that before, so I know that answer. But social media has changed a lot, for some programs. And I think there's a lot of positives with it.
Sure.
One of the things we try to preach to our team is, be about it, not tweet about it. So, but, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of positives to that. We just want to make sure it's about family. And I know to promote yourself in this day and age, the college, to have a chance to get a scholarship and those kind of things, you got to do those social media posts and those kind of things. But I would say, that's the biggest change since I've been here. Now, I will say this too, though, on the field, it's got a lot more sophisticated. Everything you see from the NFL and college has trickled down to our level. It is very sophisticated scheme-wise on what you're seeing and expecting these high school players to do on a Friday night. I mean, there's a lot to it that probably 15 years ago, you didn't see that many different offenses and defenses, and it's pretty sophisticated now.
Well, like you said, I mean, you guys were running the wing tee later in the season, so it kind of goes to show kind of them being able to kind of grasp the offense that they were, preparing for in the summer, but with whatever situation comes about, that they can turn on a dime and learn a whole new scheme. That kind of goes to show kind of the quality of the player now too. They're being able to adapt like that for sure.
Yeah, and I think them playing the video games helps them. I mean, it's funny. We'll run plays out here, and they're like, well, this is called so and so on Madden or NCAA. So it's funny that they really do. They're a lot more advanced, I guess, than when I was growing up. Of knowing, we had Tecmo Bowl, but you had 4 plays.
Yep.
So. These guys, I guess, can relate it to what they see on video games every night.
I've heard a few over the years, whether they'll stop on a dime and do a circle. We call it the circle button. Where they do like a turn and just go down the sideline. So it's pretty funny, like you said. Kind of goes to show kind of the advancement of, I guess, technology. Period. But at the same time, you got services like Huddle. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's easy for these guys to recruit as well, and I'm sure you guys can go on Huddle and find game footage and stuff like that, preparing for the next opponent too, versus meeting halfway somewhere and exchanging tapes at the Waffle House.
Well, now that you say that, that's changed a lot too. So I remember that when I first got into coaching, it was VHSs that you traded. Then it went to DVDs. The bad thing about DVDs is you go meet somebody 2.5 hours away. You get home and the DVD's got a scratch in it. So yeah, the Huddle has changed. That's another thing that's changed a lot. The technology on how fast you can retrieve an opponent's film and how our kids get to watch it, because they'll go home every night and we film all of our practices, so they're watching practice film at night, and then we're able to make notes on it and tell them mistakes or good things that they do. So. I don't know if social media is the right answer now, so that would be probably one of them too, as far as technology goes.
You think the scratch on the DVD was by design? It had to be.
Maybe it may. Now that you say that, I don't know why. I guess I was too dumb to ever think about that. But I should have scratched ours.
That's funny. So, like we said, you going into year 20. You played here, obviously, so you got that set of memories there as well. Is there one that stands out above the rest as like a moment that stood out to you? It doesn't have to be a win. It could be either like a post-game or a pre-game speech or some kind of moment on the sideline that didn't involve the game itself. Is there one that sticks out to you going into year number 20 for you as a head coach?
To be honest, I'm sitting here and I've got quite a few popping in my head.
Okay.
So I hate to even name one, but I'll say this. The thing we talk about the most is the close losses. The wins are obviously special, and we've had some really, nail biters, but we've also been on the other end of some of those nail biters, and those are the ones that kind of stick out to me. Is the ones, oh man, if we could have just got that
sure.
one. But there's been a lot of ups and downs, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And I think the cool thing, and this is really one of the reasons I enjoy being in coaching, is I'm part of a team, and you go through highs and lows together, but you're together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing, and that's one of the things we try to talk to our kids about. It's about the relationships. And 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, you're going to have some of these bonds you're creating with these guys. You can't make it up. You got to go through the bad times together. You got to go through the highs and the lows. And, we try to talk about things like that to our team. So I guess to answer your question, there's too many memories of good and bad.
Sure.
But they're all good memories, So been very fortunate to be here and coach a lot of really good players. We have a really good administration that believes that athletics is part of the education process, and that starts with our superintendent, Dr. Cash. So very blessed to have been here 20 years.